Hey ladies and gents, welcome back. This is going to be part 6 to What If Naruto Was a Vampire. So, with that being said, I'm gonna keep it. Make sure to go check out my Discord. I'll leave a link to that in the description below, where you can just give me what if ideas and different things like that if I don't actually see your comment. Also, make sure to like and subscribe. Like most of my other what ifs, at least my newer ones, this video is not going to have a like goal. It's just a nice thing to do because, why not? So, with that being said, let's do a brief recap of what actually happened in the last part before getting into the new material of the what if. In the last part, we ended off the original Naruto with nobody really doing anything. Sasuke never left the village, and Hiruzen never died, so they never had to go get Tsunade. So that ended up happening with Naruto going and training with Kakashi over the 3-year break between Shippuden and actual Naruto. In between going on missions and basically getting people, recruiting to his army, and actually training with his different powers that he would actually have as being a vampire. So when Shippuden actually started up after the 3-year gap, Naruto would sense that Gaara was actually having some sort of disturbance because, Naruto kind of has Gaara as one of his pets. So he'd run over there, and he'd get there earlier than, everybody would in the original, and he'd actually be able to save Gaara before he got Shukaku actually extracted from him. So, with that, that's where we're going to jump back. We didn't really, say what happened, but Naruto also is about to head over to the village hidden in the frickin' water. Mist? How do you pronounce it? Or what is it called? The Land of Waves, I think. No, I don't remember. Anyway, it's basically where the leader of the supposed leader of the Akatsuki is, or Pain, basically. Naruto would go over and head off in that direction after convincing Jiraiya and everybody else to actually let him go there completely alone after basically giving them the order to allow him to do so. So, moving on, pretending there wasn't a dog just barking in the background, so Naruto enters the land, the area, and he begins wandering around, looking for any signs of the leader of this Akatsuki, because he knows that if he managed to get the leader of the Akatsuki under his belt and actually was able to control them, that he would be in a pretty good shape for taking down the rest of the organization and getting some pretty strong members, knowing that the Akatsuki members are all really strong. So, Naruto enters through is it the Land of the Waves? Is the land? I don't remember what it is. Land of Rain. Rain? Yeah? Yeah? I think so. Anyway, he enters, and eventually he would stumble upon the fact that there's actually a new leader. It's not even Hanzo that's leading the village anymore, and it's actually somebody kind of doing it from the shadows who kind of took over. This person's name being Pain. So, Naruto, after some investigation, would find out that this Pain is seen kind of as a god, and he even has something called the Rinnegan. Naruto would know what the Rinnegan is, obviously, and he'd be pretty impressed by the fact that the person actually has it, and is even more excited to have basically this person as Naruto's pet. So, as Naruto continues walking around the actual, village, swear to God, freaking dogs, just shut up, nobody likes you. And, I do like them, but, they don't have to bark when I'm sitting in my basement trying to record a good little... No, I'm not going to finish that sentence. Anyway. Anywho, so Naruto eventually would stumble across where this actual Pain would be. Or more like Pain would stumble across Naruto, finding out that somebody's snooping around his village. So he, or not the actual, Pain Nagato, but, Yahiko and the rest of everybody else are not the real Yahiko, but the 6 paths of Pain would actually show up and start attacking Naruto, basically saying, hey, the fuck are you doing here? We're gonna kill you now, kind of a thing. Naruto would actually be able to pretty quickly learn all of their different abilities as the fight would progress, and eventually he would pretty easily take them all down, after finding out that he can't actually control them because they are already being controlled by somebody else. Also, a little limitation that Naruto just learned. He didn't know he couldn't control things if people were already controlling them. Putting this in the back burner of his mind, hoping nothing like that will ever come into fruition in the future. Anyway, Naruto would actually end up defeating all 6 paths of the Pain, like I just said. And he would do so pretty easily, and eventually this would mean that the actual Nagato would actually have to come out. And try to fight Naruto himself. So, with him actually, showing up, getting ready to fight Naruto and Nagato would actually square off. But Nagato doesn't actually expect what's about to happen to him. As Nagato basically runs forward at trying to, fight Naruto, they do start fighting. but there's one difference. This being that Naruto can't control Nagato. He thought he would be able to, but he actually can't. So, as he looks up, not really looks up as much as actually starts taking in the features of Nagato, he realizes it. It's not necessarily the Rinnegan that's keeping Naruto from controlling Nagato. He looks at his eyes, and they're actually red. They're not purple like the Rinnegan was supposed to be. Along with him having fangs, then Naruto realizes it. He sees his like frickin' white hair, and he notices that Nagato's actually a vampire too. He just has the Rinnegan. So Naruto's like, oh, quite interesting. And Nagato's basically ability as a vampire. He can't like bite people, make them control him or anything like that. But since he is a vampire, he would have a somewhat of a resistance to this, biting of Naruto. Like Naruto would have to, I don't know exactly how it would work, but Naruto is basically going to have to kill Nagato. He can't put him under his own control. So Naruto kind of gets a little annoyed by this, but he would kill Nagato. He's a hybrid, therefore he would be stronger than Nagato. Just because Nagato's a vampire too doesn't mean that Naruto wouldn't be able to take him down. So Naruto takes him down, and he ends up taking the Rinnegan before getting rid of Nagato's body. He would walk over to some random person, or not some random person, sorry, I don't know what I'm trying to say here. Anyway, he would go back to the Leaf Village. He's trying to find a perfect candidate for who he wants to give the Rinnegan to, because he doesn't want to give it to himself, because that'd look oddly suspicious. So, with him walking around the village, eventually he stumbles across Sasuke, and he's like, oh, he's an Uchiha, that'd be pretty cool. So, he basically makes it so that Sasuke can't move, giving him an order. He walks up to Sasuke now, tearing out his eyes, before implanting the Sharingan, or not the Sharingan, sorry, the Rinnegan, into Sasuke. With Naruto doing that, he basically put some fake story in the minds of literally everybody, including Sasuke, making it seem that Sasuke was actually the one that took down Nagato, giving everybody all those memories, and making it so that Naruto doesn't seem to be the one that killed him. It was actually Sasuke. Anyway, they would continue on like normal with Naruto, now having the puppet that he wanted with the Rinnegan. However, Sasuke would continue on with his normal life, thinking that nothing weird was actually happening. He'd develop his abilities with the Rinnegan, and eventually he'd discover the 6 paths. With this, Sasuke would begin using them. But Sasuke didn't use them in the original. Yeah, well, he's going to now because he has the Rinnegan that were literally used to give the 6 paths. I don't know, why doesn't Sasuke use 6 paths of pain? I don't really know. Maybe he doesn't have the chakra because Nagato was like, I don't know. Well, I don't know how it works. Well, he's using them now, though. He starts developing his abilities along with being able to, use I guess you could say the corpses of other people, use their abilities along with one chosen Rinnegan ability. So, who exactly would these people be? Well, they're probably honestly just going to be random people or enemy ninja from different villages, because you can't really just pick you can't pick like, you wouldn't pick like Jiraiya or Tsunade or anybody like that, because then it would be like somebody sees them, they're fighting them, and they're like, but they're supposed to be dead. So they couldn't use anything like that. And again, Jiraiya isn't actually dead in this what if, at least not yet. So Sasuke would get some random people to basically get his 6 paths of pain, and eventually some more time would pass. Some of the Naruto events don't actually happen. Like going to the Tenkaichi Bridge. That doesn't happen because they killed Sasori not killed Sasori, but Sasori would not actually end up telling Naruto this. So they don't actually go there, and they wouldn't need to go there in the first place because Naruto doesn't really care about Orochimaru too much anymore, other than for the fact that he might want to bite him because he is of a different race than Nagato, or a different race of vampire than Nagato, meaning that Naruto could still actually control him. At least that's what Naruto thinks. He hopes that it's just Nagato's clan of vampires that would be the only ones to actually, have that immunity to Naruto's bite. So with Naruto hoping this, some more time would actually pass by until eventually Obito would start the 4th Great Shinobi World War. However, there wouldn't really be some massive, there obviously would be like an allied nation, but for a completely different reason. Naruto sees it fit. Everybody else just automatically thinks they need to do this. Why do they think this? Because Naruto orders them to actually do so. Every single person that Naruto has ever bitten before, basically, would form this massive allied nation, just like what happens in the original. So really, no matter what, the nations can really fight each other because Naruto is in control of them. So, Fourth Great Shinobi World War would actually end up starting with Orochimaru actually still being alive to actually join up with Naruto. Why would he join up with Naruto, you may ask? Because Naruto is the one that converted him to a vampire, making it so that all of his dreams could actually come true. So all of the Edo Tensei army would actually be on Naruto's side, along with, so basically, it's a bunch of Zetsus, and Obito fighting everybody else, along with Obito not actually having the Rinnegan, because Sasuke has them. I wonder how this is gonna go. So everybody from the actual Allied Nation would start ganging up on all of the Zetsus and absolutely butt-fucking them. They wouldn't be able to do any shit to Naruto or most of Naruto's, henchmen, I guess you could say. They wouldn't be able to do anything, and Naruto would pretty easily defeat anybody who tried to come into any amount of contact with him. So eventually, it would just be down to Obito fighting literal thousands of ninja at the exact same time. Some of them actually being strong, this being Sasuke, Naruto, Jiraiya, basically everybody who would actually have any amount of, actual damage to be able to be fast enough to go up against Obito. First one to actually realize that Obito's actually a pretty decent threat would actually be Sasuke, using his Rinnegan abilities. He realizes that he can't actually damage Obito for some reason. He tries pulling him towards him, and Obito just simply phases through it. He doesn't get affected by the push and pull forces of the Rinnegan. Naruto would discover this next, finding that he can't land a single hit on Obito because Obito will just phase through his attacks. So, Naruto, basically having everybody under his control, he would actually start giving them more orders. Instead of allowing them to fight on their own free will, Naruto would use them kind of as baits, kind of as little things to allow Naruto to get hits on, and this would actually work. Obito, the first time, Obito would be able to, counter this eventually, but not enough hits. So, think about it like this. Eventually, Obito would come up with a counter to it, but the first time this happens would really only need to this would only really need to happen once for it to work. So, creating a diversion with Sasuke, Obito would go in for the kill, thinking that he can get rid of one of the pretty decent threats. However, this is where Naruto sees this opportunity. He jumps in, and he actually does it. He manages to bite down on Obito, and gives him the order. Become my pet. Erasing basically all this from everyone's memory because Naruto was only really controlling a few people. Then, basically, kind of converts, I guess you could say, Obito, altering everybody's memories to make it so that there was some sort of different enemy that everybody was fighting, and Obito was along their side the entire time, making it so that nobody could really think otherwise because Naruto won't let them. So, as Naruto's about to leave, he senses something behind him. As he senses it, he realizes it. He thought he got everybody already. He turns around, sensing one of the only people that he hasn't actually put under his control yet. And as he turns around, he sees her. Yes, her. Who is this person that Naruto sees, you may ask? Well, it's actually Ino. As Naruto turns around, a bunch of memories flood back into him as he remembers, thinking that he got him on her side, I guess you could say. He bit her already. But then he remembers it. He never actually did. And as he realizes this, he looks at Ino's face and sees the kind of horrified features of Ino at this point, because, obviously you'd be scared of what just happened. Naruto got everybody to completely fight for him and was actually completely controlling them. How is that even possible? What was he doing? Ino would be pretty terrified by this, but she wouldn't be able to do anything, because her emotions start changing a little bit. Yep. You already know what the ship is going to be at this point. I mean, hey, why not? Because of the fact that Naruto's a vampire, he's pretty hot. Ino is just like, oh, I never looked at you like that before, Naruto. Even though all this stuff just happened, Ino doesn't care. I mean, she liked Sasuke, so, I mean, why not? So, seeing Naruto, not as a tyrant anymore, but seeing him as a hunk, she would start dating Naruto, and that's where I'm going to leave this what if off. I know, really? What a satisfying ending to the what if, I'm not even going to lie. I mean, definitely couldn't have put more effort into it. I don't know what you guys are talking about.